I love princesses. Princesses are beautiful. I want to be a princess because they look nice. Princesses have straight, long hair, and she wears makeup. They have to have a dress. It's blue and it's sparkly. A ponytail sometimes. A tiara. And slippers, I think. I don't like princesses, they're for girls. And they had wands. That was freaky. Princesses have to live in castles. They live in England, they have a butler. Princess can do anything. They have to be perfect. Princesses have powers. I don't think princesses have jobs. I like them because they get to go on adventures. I'm gonna be a good princess because I have a lot of dresses. If I met a princess, I will hug her. My mom's gonna be the queen and my dad's gonna be the king and I'm gonna be the princess.
Those are kids from the kindergarten class that we adopted from Bryan Elementary School in Teaneck, New Jersey. Well, their obsession with princesses may not be as innocent as you think. If you're a parent, you're going to want to pay close attention, especially if you have a daughter. Please welcome our panel of parents, Kathy, Gloria, and Tom, and the author of The Princess Problem, Dr. Rebecca Hains. That's the title of your book, The Princess Problem. Rebecca, what do you mean by that? What is the princess problem?
You know, princesses nowadays are everywhere. They're so common that they've become inescapable. And really, what's happening as princesses are becoming commodified and a product that are sold everywhere to our little girls, with those princess products, our girls are receiving really unhealthy messages about beauty, about body image, about gender stereotypes, race stereotypes. And kids that young are not equipped to deal with those
messages. So when
messages.
you heard our kids talking from the kindergarten class, what was your impression? Did you cringe? Did you...
A little of both.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that they were very sweet and they reminded me of the kids that I did research with. I could see that they love the fun of princesses, and I love the fun part of princesses too. But I was also hearing some things that are maybe things their parents should be a little worried about.
Such as?
Well, you know, the emphasis on princesses have to have long hair from a girl who has, you know, short curly hair. The idea that princesses don't have jobs, they don't do anything. That's one of the problems. We want our girls to aspire to being more than somebody who's looked at for her appearance, and really somebody who can do things in the world. You know, modern parenting is not about little pretty girls, but girls who can grow up to be strong and empowered.
And independent.
Yeah.
When you were doing your research for the book, you actually went undercover as
did.
a party princess.
Yes. Yes, so I have a day job as a professor at Salem State University, but I took a job on the side where I went into girls' homes as a party princess. And you know, what was really unfortunate is that to get the job, I actually had to lose 5 pounds. And it's also not uncommon for girls who want to go shopping for princess dresses to find they don't fit in those dresses. The message, unfortunately, is that thinner is always better.
And they're getting that as a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, whatever
3,
it is.
4,
yeah,
5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy, let me start with you. What is the princess problem in your home?
The problem I had, my daughter and I are in Rebecca's wonderful book. And
How old is your daughter?
She's 6 now, but at the time we were interviewed, she was about 3 and a half, and she was in daycare. And there was a little group of girls that were bullying, princess bullying, about princesses don't wear sleeves. Of course, I didn't realize this at the time. All I realized was my daughter wouldn't put anything on with sleeves in the middle of a New England winter. Essentially, she wasn't going to be allowed to play with these little girls, and in fact, she'd be made fun of if she wore sleeves. So finally, I just said, okay, go outside, it's freezing. And she's like, oh, Mommy, I'm cold. I figured you would be, let's put a coat on. Oh, okay, Mommy. And I realized when I'm talking to another mother, because the problem wasn't just me and these little girls were bullying, she was told that her daughter wasn't pretty enough to be a princess because she had brown hair and brown eyes. But it made me realize the unhealthy body image that girls are getting at a very young age. She was 3 and a half. And yes, it was about her arms, but it can lead to other things that are so unhealthy.
Absolutely, she's absorbing that message,
Right.
exactly.
And I had one of my best friends passed away at 27 of an eating disorder, so I was on this, and Rebecca happened to reach out to me at that point. I said, I have the poster child for princesses. Please help. She was amazing.
Gloria, what is your princess problem with your child?
My princess problem happened around the same age, about 3 and a half years old, when my daughter came into my room. We were talking, and I told her she was beautiful, and she said, no, I'm not, Mommy. And I said, what do you mean? Why aren't you beautiful? She said, because I don't have the same nose or the same hair as the princesses in my room. And my daughter had delayed speech, so she started talking like around 3 and a half years old. And so the first sentence that my daughter said to me was that she was insecure about her body because of the images that I've been putting up in the room and that she sees out in public.
That you thought were just innocent?
I just thought they were innocent, and it was okay. Needless to say, I jumped up out of bed and I tore down all the princess stuff, and princesses were not allowed in the house for a while.
Tom, I'm curious from a dad's point of view, when you talk about a princess problem in your home, what are you referring to?
Well, when my wife and I found out we were going to have a daughter, we both work in publishing, and it was really important for us to sort of build this library of like really great kids' books for her. And we just wanted to find like the best books we could. And as we were collecting all these books, we kept getting confronted with all of these storybook princesses that were so passive. They just sort of sat back, and they were never sort of the drivers of their own stories. And if there's anything that I want a story to teach my daughter, it's that she can slay her own dragons. Like, she should be the one. I want to raise a kick-ass little girl. I want her to have role models that she can look up to.
But can I play devil's advocate for a second? Because my daughter Lily is 21 now, and she dressed up as a princess quite a bit when she was a little girl, and she's one of the most independent people I've ever met. So you're not saying princesses it's wrong to show your kids these movies or read the books, are you?
No, not at all. In fact, I think that princess play can be open-ended and imaginative and really wonderful for girls. What's important is to make sure that that interest does not take over their life to such an extent that they're not doing other kinds of play. Let them play outside in a physical way and not constrain themselves because they're dedicated to wearing little princess play shoes.